Prestaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva
So today we will discuss the position of the Supreme Person and the living entities as. Okay. The Supreme Person, who is the cause of all causes, is the source of pleasure. He is the supreme enjoyer, and our position is where eternally the loving servant dominated part and parcel of the Supreme Person. So all you see here, material energy, the living entities, because you've been hearing for so long about your true identity, you can understand that there's two energies here, matter and life, okay? And this material energy, the living entities, are all coming from the Supreme Person. And is the source of joy and the source of happiness for the living entity. So, why will we be working in such a way that our life will be working in such a way that we should be focusing upon engaging in activities centered around doing what is pleasing to God. Okay? So, here we're advised, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work will bind one to the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So the the Supreme Person expands himself. Okay, we are eternally existing, and the Supreme Person is eternally existing. Okay, there's no beginning. Okay, He's the cause of all causes. And we are here in this material world to be doing what is pleasurable to the Supreme Person. But because we have a choice, we have this freedom of choice, instead of being in harmony with pleasing the Supreme Person for His pleasure, okay, we now are all engaging in activities centered around doing our own will. That's why we are disconnected from the source of pleasure and happiness. Okay? You understand? So, now, we are having a recall of our true eternal transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of the Supreme Person. And we have come in contact with this confidential loving servant. Okay. God the servant, or the pure loving servant of the Supreme Person. So through Him, we can now be in harmony with the pleasure of the Supreme Person. But because of our conditioning sa material world, centered around ourselves, we have become dominated by material nature, and we are guided by the mind. And the mind is guided by the modes of material nature. Yun ang problem natin, okay? So, in a nutshell, ang problem natin is when we decide not to do the will of the Supreme Person. We do our own will. So, we are advised by Lord Krsna that everything we do should be a sacrifice. So, what kind of sacrifice should we engage in? So, meaning, what will please the Supreme Person? Okay. what will be His pleasure. Here, we decide to do our own will. It's all about our pleasure. That is the difference. So, we are being advised, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, one binds one to the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So when we follow this teaching, the science of devotional service, the sacrifice that is intended sa time and circumstances ngayon is simply the glorification of God's names, hearing and chanting the holy names, because it gives pleasure to the Supreme Person. So yun yung sacrifice in this age of Kali Yuga. So the process itself will be the end itself, because it will purify us from our covering of the encumbrances wherein we have become so much shackled and anchored upon this world because we want to manipulate the material energy. We want now to be the enjoyer, supposedly attempted enjoyment. But the problem is we are not the supreme controller, and if we are in that consciousness, we are disconnected with the pleasure of Lord Krishna. Okay? So the living entity tayo, we are completely dependent upon the Supreme Person. So Lord Krishna tells us here, okay, why is it, okay, that we are disconnected? Because we are eternally the loving servant of the Supreme Person, and our purpose in life is to give pleasure to the Supreme Person for His enjoyment. But we make now the decision to do and engage in activities for our own enjoyment, not for His pleasure. Yun ang problem doon. Kaya makikita nyo how much we are disconnected. It's like when nakakita na kayo ng branch, pag hindi connected sa tree na bale, what will happen to the branch? Di ba? Lanta. So when the living entity is in ignorance of his true identity and he just engages in activities, not in reality on his own making, but is now driven by a force that is so powerful. It is the force of lust. When the living entity is so much engrossed, the motivating force is lust. Because our true transcendental nature to serve God, to find happiness, it's now directed upon this material energy which we are trying to dominate. Kaya makikita nyo, everybody is trying to control in many ways, okay? In many ways. So this material energy na nakikita nyo, na dito, so yung extended false ego, yung family life, yung land, everything that is here is the cause of our entanglement, but it will be also the cause of our freedom and connection with the source of happiness when we follow the advice of Lord Krishna. That everything we do should be an offering of sacrifice. That's why we're very fortunate to come in contact with someone who is completely pleasing to the Supreme Person. His whole life is simply pleasing the Supreme Person. Okay? Giving pleasure to the Supreme Person. That is the pure loving servant of Lord Krishna, our Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, Jagad Guru, Siddhaswarup. And the chain of, yung unbroken chain or path, wherein all the Vaishnavas, the saintly persons, okay, who are pure loving servant of the Supreme Person, descends. And we have now a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Okay? So, by following him, following its footsteps, meaning, what is following his footstep? Don't misconstrue it that following the footstep is to speak like him, okay? To talk the way he talks, okay? The way he dresses, the way he acts. So it's all external. It's not that. We must see his intent, okay? His desire. And his desire is simply to please Krishna And He wants us to do the same. And because we are so much engaged and conditioned for so long by the conditioning of the modes of material nature, He gives us a process, guidance, so we can now engage in sacrifice. Sacrifice means austerities. But the austerity and the sacrifice is not what we perceive or conceive or try to imagine that will give us pain. It will be the connection with pleasing the Supreme Person, the source of happiness, the Lord of love, who is self-sufficient. And it is a science that we must learn. That's why it is about rendering devotional service. Okay? Rendering devotional service. Meaning, activities you do, we do, must be action in devotional service. And when you speak of devotion, it is about love, offering of devotion. Is it clear? Kaya whenever and whatever situation we're in, if we are not in harmony with that transcendental world of pure devotion, we are disconnected from the source of happiness. And we can be driven by a force that is so powerful as what we are experiencing now. The force of material nature, the modes of material nature. And the effect of that is that we identify with the body, we identify with the mind, we identify with the environment, the land. We think we are the body. Okay? And because we are not able to experience what is real, transcendental, okay, happiness, for so long, it's all about sensual experience, okay? Kaya, it's not prior to hearing the holy names, it's sensual experience. That's why when we are advised to offer sacrifice, we hesitate. Alam niyo hesitate? Magduwa-duwa ang isip nyo. Unsa man na, unsa atong makuha. Okay? Okay? Kaya, ang advice sa atin, sabi ni Lord Krishna, we must engage in our prescribed duties, especially under the guidance of our spiritual master, to engage in the 9 process of devotional service. Kaya you will not be desire-driven, and Maya cannot snatch you, because you will be very fixed, because you will have life. Because our life before is a lifeless world wherein life is trying to find fulfillment and happiness in another energy matter. So, makiintindihan niyo? Is it clear sa inyo? So, it is about the wisdom that is given to us. Kaya, we must understand clearly that when we were listening and hearing the pastimes of Lord Krishna, all of us, living entities, should be living for the pleasure of the Supreme Person. Because that is our natural, eternal position and activity. Okay? Activities. Okay? So here, sabi ni Lord Krishna, O son of Pirta, know that I am the original seed of all existences. The intelligence of the intelligence and the prowess of powerful men. So He's the seed-giving Father. Okay? He's our eternal Father. What you experience in material conditioning here, the father of temporary, your father, your biological father or mother or your biological brother, they are not really your eternal, the body is not your eternal brother or your father. Okay? Because when they leave the body goes to dust. Okay? It becomes back to the simple forms. So if you're when we come in contact with this understanding and the process of purification, we can see with clarity. Clarity with intelligence, because the process itself purifies us. So what I'm saying is that if you give food to the stomach, all the body parts will experience nourishment. Okay? So what happened? We are cut off. Not because we are separated from God, but because we make a conscious decision not to do and engage in our natural function to please God. So it's all about selfishness, me. Okay? And we are not self-sufficient. Yun ang point doon. Kaya no matter what you do, the formula is wrong. Yung formula should be a transcendental formula based upon our eternality, okay, with the wisdom of who we are, our position, and guided by God Himself. Because out of His love and compassion for us, He introduces us to His loving servant. So now, He's giving us this opportunity. The Spirit Krsna is trying to reach out to us because He's reaching out through the guidance of the Spiritual Master. Because He's in control, He puts us in a situation wherein we can hear the science. Ang problem lang, are we able to reciprocate? Ibig sabihin nun, are we able to reciprocate? Magkaroon ba tayo ng, He comes, He opens the door, will we enter that door? Yun ang tanong eh, okay? So, the first activity I should be doing is to purify my heart, my mind, through the process of sacrifice in this age of Kali Yuga, the Maha Mantra, the chanting. So when our heart is purified through the chanting of the holy names, we will be gliding towards what is our eternal, true transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of God, doing the will of God, because that is transcendental and that is what has been cut off. Cut off, although from the point of being cut off is that we are now misdirected towards a world that is not a world of the pleasure of the Supreme Person. It's our own world. Okay? As you can see, lately there's a lot there, as you can see and you can hear from the news sa Facebook and even with your friends. Okay? Alam niyo yung sign? Alam niyo yung sign? They're all dying. And you're also dying. Okay? Pero hindi natin nakikita yon. And what we can see is the struggle to survive. Okay? To survive in the body. Okay? Everybody around them, they're looking at him. Okay? In ICU, ICU? What's ICU? Intensive care. Okay? Intensive care of the body. Okay? Trying to fix the body. Okay? But the problem is that in reality, the doctors are not in control. Okay? They're just there to administer, medicine, hoping that it will suffice to help you still exist in that body. Okay? But because of karma, we have a certain time sa mundo na to. Okay? Karma. We have a certain reaction there's a certain reaction of what we are doing and engaging in this body and previously that we have to experience that will be what will be incurred upon this body that we identify with. Okay? Ano yun? Diseases. Okay? Kaya kung may cancer ka, inisip nila, okay, cancer. Why is that? Okay? And for a person who is ignorant, what he does is that he tries to perpetuate his existence in the body. Okay? So the advice by the spiritual master is to live, not live, okay? Live, I-L-I-B, mabuhay, live, to have life in connection with the source of life. Then, meaning our lives should be a sacrifice, not sacrifice what we think a sacrifice that you have, what these people are trying to tell us that we are sinful and God sent His only begotten Son to be killed, to be murdered, okay? So we can bathe in His blood. This is demoniac, okay? Hindi yun. Sacrifice means what is natural. And that sacrifice is about devotion. It is about the experience of gentleness, of surrender, of sweetness, of friendship. But for so long, we have been conditioned to experience the burden, the pain, and the suffering, the load of identifying ourselves with the source of misery. Tingnan niya? That's why when something is taken away from you, o kaya your milk or your biscuit, immediately you panic. Okay? Tindihan niya? Malit na bagay lang yun. Pero because that is your world, okay? I cannot survive without milk, without biscuits. What if, okay, you have become so much engrossed, kasi ngayon, maliit pa yung mundo nyo, yung building blocks nyo, ganun pa lang eh. Yung empire, okay? Empire, your kingdom, okay? What if you're trying to control, you're trying to build an empire to control, okay? And you have, in a way, relatively speaking, you have garnered, nakakuha kayo ng material energy in the form of car, in the form of your wife, your mistresses, your children, your bank account, you're building your empire, and then the doctor tells you, you have C, okay, period, cancer. And you have to leave the body in a week, okay? Not only that, while you are being inflicted by this disease, it's so complicated that you have kidney problem, okay? Your kidney is breaking down, okay? Your liver, okay? Your chest, okay? You have diabetes, okay? You have this cancer, okay? And then you're so stressed. You have a stroke. Then the vessel in your brain, and there's blood clot, okay? There's so much blood. And what happened? You're put in ICU, and instead of you experiencing relief from the cancer through chemotherapy or whatsoever, it became so complicated, like domino effect, okay? Domino effect. Just like when you have a car, okay? The battery is not working, okay? Okay? You push the car, okay? And it starts, but what happened is that the gear, the differential, the gear gets destroyed. Kaya even you start, you push the pedal, it doesn't move because all the gears are destroyed. Okay? So when your body breaks down, okay, because time will come, it's like that. And if you're so much engrossed, shackled, what will happen is like, look at this, if there's an insect who get stuck sa spider web, okay? You pull that insect, what will happen? He experiences pain, okay? His innards, his eyes get stuck there when you pull that body. You're just holding the wings. But the body, tanggal ang lahat. Okay? So if you're so attached to so many things, especially when you're attached to this body, thinking you're the body. Okay? Okay? We're not talking here about religion, about We're talking here about real emptiness and pain that you'll experience when you're not in harmony with your true transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of God. Because you'll be attached to this world. And there's the law of time, okay? Just like, how do the spider, when you're stuck in the spider web, the spider looks at you, okay? Wow, my meal, okay? Immediately, he punches. You have seen if you magnify the head of the spider, you don't see the spider with how many legs does the spider do have, okay? 8 ba or 6 whatsoever, okay? Don't know about that. But I know that when you magnify his face, you can see the fangs. Bigger than the fangs of Dracula. The blood drainer, okay? You know Dracula? Okay? And then he punch your head. Then, suyupon lahat yung dugo sa katawan nyo. Then your body becomes an empty shell. You're a gunner, okay? But you experience the pain, just like when your teeth is been taken out by the dentist, okay? Okay? So they put, and what if you have cancer of the bones, okay? And there's no anesthesia for cancer of the bones, okay? Because your bones, all those, what do you call that? The marrow, you know what's marrow? Okay, sa loob ng bones. Di ba it's so, parang sticky, okay? It's inflamed now, okay? It's becoming pus, okay? So the bones begins to crack. Ano yung nag-crack? And there's no anesthesia for that. And you're suffering. Ah! And what is painful is when your heart, it's like you're undergoing this anesthetic, injection so you can be numb from the source of pain. But there's another, surgery. And that surgery has no anesthesia. You're being taken away from your attachment. Okay? Your mind is so focused upon, shackled sa land, sa asawa mo, sa mistress mo, sa bahay mo, sa anak mo, okay? The mind, bata pa akong asawa, pag mawawa ko, maamamintana lain. Okay? Anxiety ka na, okay? Nasa katawan ka pa lang nun, ha? Habang yung doktor, sakit ng buto ko, At sabi ng doktor, okay, na-stroke, okay? Dugo, abrihan ng utok. Tanaw kung saan dugo. Habang ikaw, what's happening? Di lang yun. The Yamaduts are there, waiting for you, okay? Alam mo yung Yamaduts? The agent of Yamaraj, okay? Waiting. Why you're suffering? Identifying with what is false. This body, not false in a way that it is eternal. The form that you have becomes so much shackled, ingrained, anchored, is breaking down. It's like your empire, dahan-dahan. Nakakita na kayo rin yung anay, kinakain yun. Yan. Akala nyo solid, okay? Kinakain ng anay, nawala na. Your empire, okay, is been taken away. Nandun ka. All the money that you have tried to put in the bank, okay, to survive eternally in the body. Okay? You need to withdraw it to pay for your hospital bills. Okay? And everybody's anxiety. What's happening? All your family members. What if we all use the money and then he still dies? Why not let him die? Okay? What will be left of the money that our shelter also? Not seeing, hindi nila nakita, not seeing na yung person na yumakap, aalis na. Habang nandun sila, baka walang maiwan sa atin. Okay? Maya is very strong. Okay? You laugh now, pero pag alis nyo, makalimutan na nyo yan. Okay? Maisip na naman nyo, unsay ako. Hindi nyo nakapansin yan, okay? Yung iba nga, hindi nga nila alam, nandun na sila spider. Yung situation is when you're so much covered by material energy, you're like a child. You're the person inside the womb, di ka makagalaw. Okay? Or someone who got stuck sa spider web, okay? And the spider says, it's not time to eat muraridas, okay? I'll just cover him muna. Saplot. So, muraridas is there. Thank you. Okay? My meal tomorrow. Okay? You laugh, pero that's the reality, okay? All of us, wow, it's a dangerous place. The most dangerous place is the world of pain and suffering. And we love it, okay? We love it, okay? You talk to people, enjoy life. How can you enjoy your in ICU with all the oxygen, the anesthesia, your skull is being opened up, and they tell, enjoy life. Enjoy life. Okay? You look around, okay? Okay? You're so attached to the beauty, temporary beauty of this world. And the nurses are all beautiful coming. Sir, how are you? Okay? And then, what is sad is, your wife is there crying, all anxious, and you are not in control. You cannot protect them from their gripe. Alam yung gripe? Yung melancholy nila, hilang, don't leave us, don't leave us. Okay? For so long, you've been projecting, I'm the man, Alpha One. Okay? I'm strong. I'm the controller. And now, you're there. You cannot even wash your pupu. You cannot even go to the CR. You pupu on your pants. And you have this diaper for senior citizen. Okay? You cannot even wee-wee. Okay? Somebody has to put this, urinal. So embarrassing. Okay? When you identify with the body, like now, you're identifying with the body, okay? Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the most beautiful, handsome of them all? It is you, Muraridas. Okay. It's you. Okay. How do I look? Okay. No. Okay? But when you're there, now, lying down sa deathbed mo, okay, you cannot even vacate kasi your stomach has cancer, okay? So they open up here, okay? And they put this bag here. So when you poo-poo, it's here by your side. Okay? You have this poo-poo, or like, you cannot wee-wee because they put here a catheter in your organ. So there's a hose, okay? Tubil, okay? Pag wee-wee mo, urinal here, bag for poo-poo, and you have this diaper, and then you're there. Saliva is drifting, you cannot breathe, and you identify with it, and you love it. It is your kingdom, okay? Look at me before, and now you're there, and you're asking, you just wanna get out of suffering. But what happened is that due to the conditioning of Maya, you have built these building blocks. My empire, me, the one, Alpha One. You know what's Alpha One? The top dog on the shit pile, okay? Surrounded by all the maggots and the flies. And now they're all there, waiting, okay? And the Yamanduts are there looking at you. Time to go, kid, okay? This is a material world, okay? That's why, if we are misdirected by the force of lust, then that's what will happen. All of you here, okay? You'll be just there in the spider web, okay? For the second meal ng spider, okay? You laugh, but you just experience Maya or illusion is very strong. The doctor just pulled out 5 of your teeth, okay? But now you forget it, okay? Because your tongue wants to taste again what is sweet, what is delicious, okay? The mind tells you, look for something to eat, okay? Huh? You forgot about it, okay? Your Lola died and you're crying there, Lola, Lola. But after a while, time heals, okay? You forget about your Lola. You forget about all the suffering, okay? And now you're so much engrossed with the source of suffering, meaning you never get out of that world of pain, of harm. Okay? So that's why Lord Krishna tells us, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed because it's for the pleasure of Krishna. Okay? So ang point ko, live a life of pleasing Krishna. Now, okay? Now. So when time comes, you can leave this world and go to Krishna. You understand? Kaya kung ang buhay nyo, ginagawa nyong building blocks, actually, yung building blocks ng empire nyo, may pinto yun eh. Yun yung lungon. Papasok na kayo doon, okay? Dahil doon nakapokus yung mind nyo. Life after life, birth after birth, death after death. You'll be here in this miserable world, okay? So what is that? What are those activities that is transcendental and eternal? It is the pleasure of Krishna. Okay? Because Krishna is the giver of pleasure. So that we must understand. We must become free from this selfishness, from this envy of God, trying to play Lord. We are not God. We're not the supreme enjoyer, and we're not self-sufficient. And if we cannot become free, if we are not free from the selfishness of trying to lord over material nature, okay, then we will be in harm's way always. So the advice is, we must understand the science. Satchit Ananda means our eternality, our transcendental position with the wisdom. And what is that wisdom? It is connected with the pleasure of the Supreme Person. His happiness. That's why we have heard, listen, how many stories of Lord Krishna that when Lord Krishna relates to his devotee, it is about pleasing the devotee, okay? When we are in materialistic consciousness, it's all about pleasing our senses. But if we are in harmony with the Supreme Person, Krishna is there to give us happiness. Because that is his pleasure, because he is the supreme enjoyer. And that pleasure is based upon devotional service. The word of life, the word of happiness. It's not what we have understood and been exposed in this material world. Joining a religious group, following somebody who is also lost or blind, that is not what we are engaging in. It is a science of a relationship wherein the Supreme Person wants us to be joyful and happy under his guidance and his happiness. And that is the life of a pure loving servant of the Supreme Person. That's why when Lord Krishna left Vrindavan, they're never touched by this suffering. Their only attachment and world is meditation upon the Lord of life, the Lord of love, Krishna. Okay? They're never touched by the material world, by these material encumbrances. They're transcendental. And that is the state we should be in. But the problem is, we should be in harmony with the will of God under His care. And that is best understood and realized through the guidance of someone who is a pure, loving servant of God, because he's a teacher by example, meaning he lives a life. His life is simply pure, unalloyed, transcendental service to the Supreme Person, the pleasure of the Supreme Person. Material life is about us, our happiness. Okay? redirect it. So the branch, if it's not in harm, the branch is disconnected, it will wilt and die. If the finger is cut off and not connected to the body, okay, when you eat, what will happen? It will get rotten, okay? What if your teeth, okay, is taken out? What will happen? It's now breaking down, it's useless, okay? So the source is like very simple. Water the root of the tree, and all the leaves and branches will be nourished. Be in harmony with the will of God, and then we will be experiencing what we are hearing, what we are chanting, because the Supreme Person is the Supreme Purifier. You don't need to purify yourself because you're not God. Okay? You simply follow His instruction. Okay? His instruction is this. He tells us He's the seed-giving Father of all living entities. Okay? He's the source. Okay? We are intended to do His will for His pleasure. But because we have lost that, we have become misguided. We are now doing everything and trying to understand it with our senses, with the mind, an ascending process. What should be understood is the descending process, just like the process of parampara. So, to remind you, all of us, the process started when the first created living entity, Lord Brahma, who came from the navel of Lord Vishnu, okay? He's guided by the Lord. The science was given through him through the heart. Okay? So if we purify our existence, material existence here through the process that will purify us, the sacrifice of the Sankirtan movement, the holy names descending, we will be resituated in that transcendental world of loving service to the Supreme Person. Is it clear sa inyo? Kaya, when there's this science, you can see you're not really enthusiastic to listen, to hear. Wala tayong enthusiasm, okay? Wala kang enthusiasm, meaning wala kang gana. Kasi, you're desire-driven. In a way, you're so numb. Okay. Dapat, we come to the point of someone who's drowning, you need air. Okay? So that should be our relationship with the Supreme Person. Without doing His will, serving Him, there's no life. Just like a person who's drowning, ano yung feeling niya? I need air. So you ask yourself, we ask ourselves, are we in that state? But we can be in that state, like the residents of Vrindavan, like our Gurudev, like all the saintly persons. Meaning, we enter the world of the pastimes of the pure loving servant of the Supreme Person. We follow the footstep of the saintly person and enter that world of real transcendental relationship of fulfilling the will of God. What is that? Surrender and loving service. His happiness is to see us joyful in serving Him. Yun ang buhay talaga. And if we don't do that, we'll be cut off. Like a branch na putol, walang buhay. Is it clear? Okay, Haribol.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namite, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasthayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namite, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasthayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namite, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Haribol.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya,
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sarde Gaurabhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda,
Haribol Dikhai Gaur.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sarde Gaurabhakta Vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,